All right, welcome to Course and Community, and we are back, and so glad you are here. And let's jump into wins and learning. Like what wins learning have you had? And I know it's both of you been working on crossover. We're crossover this week, so share any wins and learning you have with any of it. Love to hear it.
Do you want to go, Kim, or I don't want to just always?
Yes. Oh, no, you can go, Tanya. I'm trying to get on the phone.
Okay.
So.
Okay. I'll give you a chance to do that. So, oh, there you are. Hi. Good to see you. So let's see. I would say, as far as like the homework goes, I got started on it. I haven't gotten very far, but I at least started it. And started thinking about my welcome email. I've been very wrapped up in working on my speech and getting that where it needs to be. But today I'm just really feeling this like culmination of a lot of things that I've, worked on for so many years happening. Like today's the 1 year anniversary of when I hit when I lost all the weight I wanted to lose, and I've maintained that for 1 year today. And that's something I never, ever, ever thought I could do, ever. It's only been through God, because I can't do something like that on my own. And then being able to speak tonight at the Single Mom KC. I've been volunteering with them for over a year and a half now. And I've seen all these speakers get up and speak, and I wanted to do this. And so now that I'm actually doing that tonight, it feels very surreal, and just like this culmination of all the hard work I've put in, over the last 10 years. Sometimes it takes a long time to really, like, it was all little stuff that I noticed. And then in the last year is when I've really seen those big differences, everything coming into fruition. And so it just, I don't know, it feels good, but it feels weird at the same time.
That is huge. That's like I want to have my little party blower. That's big, because first, I love how you said I couldn't do it. And this is, I know, related to your health, but I couldn't do it without God. And just even seeing everything that you've come through in the last year and a half, doing the KC. And I love that you said 10 years, and that I've been thinking about a lot about this as we're prepping for DTLC today, the iceberg, right? You've seen the picture of the iceberg, and it talks about what we can see on top is not anything compared to what's on the bottom. And sometimes when we get, especially into DTLC, we're seeing everybody's tips of the icebergs. And frankly, we forget our own iceberg and forget all the experience, all the work we've done. We've been building it, but we just get so stuck on seeing their tip. We forget that we have all this experience too. And I love that you shared that, and hearing your keynote, and then you cleaning up your opt-in a little bit, even though, okay, I'm not going to get to it. And I kind of smiled when you said that, because I'm like, I know Tanya, she's going to do it anyway.
The reason that I did, well, I talked to Diane, and it helped me see, okay, when I decided to move my start date out to my course, that helped me feel better, and I can do this. But I also wanted to simplify it for my talk tonight, because I'm using it there. So
yeah. And it having that deadline gets you moving, doesn't it?
Right.
Yeah. Because we kind of don't have a deadline, then we're just kind of float, right? We kind of just circle the base. And by doing this, it gets that moving. So, and I love that you've got a way to get people on. And then by doing this keynote, it's going to, I'm excited to see what happens as you give this. And then as you start going into the speaking track. And I just say that, and I know Diane's nodding her head. Because speaking from experience and living it right now, yeah, it's amazing that I'm love to see what you already have, because it's amazing. And then you're going to be like, oh, I'm going to be able to do this better and better, but you have to start somewhere. So
yeah.
Great.
No, I love that. And it just makes me think of for so many years, I just felt like I didn't have enough time to do that refining process. I was just like, this is all I've got, and it was all I had. But now I'm willing to take that time to refine it and just, you know, sift it down and get to, you know, really creating a better product. And you know what I mean? Just getting really into the nitty gritty of it. And for years, I just didn't feel like I had time to do that. And now I'm like,
No, you can.
feels good. And I'm doing that. And that feels really good.
That's the thing.
And I just want to say, Tanya, that like one of the things, because I know one of the things we kind of had talked about, the two of us, was, are you like that imposter syndrome? Like, you know, what else do you need? Do you need to go and get all of these certifications and all of this? And nothing equates to life experience. And I also didn't know all of that about you, as well as I went through your keynote. And I was like, oh, Tanya has so much more. Not that you didn't, I don't know, when you read all of the things somebody has gone through, so much more depth to that cannot be learned, book learned. Like you can't, I mean, you can learn some things with the book, you can learn techniques, you can learn, you know, the reasons behind things, but sometimes going through life experiences is how you really learn it on a deep personal level. And so reading through that and seeing the different challenges that you've had and turning to Christ and, you know, what that looked like, and maybe mistakes that at the time felt like mistakes, but have really been learning things. So that's what makes you powerful, like that, and that you have invested in coaching yourself, that has made you powerful. And so when you kind of get into that space, and the adversary will absolutely, like, who are you to think that you can be here telling these women how to do this? Like you don't know, you're not certified, you don't have any letters behind your name or anything like that. That is the adversary, and he is a liar, and it's not true, because Heavenly Father has given you everything that you need up to this point to be a powerful helper in his kingdom. And so just stand in that space. And I share this at the retreat. When I stand in my space, because I have to fight, the adversary is always with me in that too. Who are you to think that you can do this or that? I will picture like being circle, like a circle around me, and I will picture like light and the spirit being, it's like almost like padding around me to prevent the adversary from getting in me. Wendy Christensen does this meditation thing where you picture like the light from heaven coming in through your head and going to your limbs and even your fingers and toes. And I will do that as well. And just picture myself being filled with the Spirit and having that protection and that padding around me to protect me, so that if the adversary comes, like you can't cross into my circle. I am standing in my space for the next hour, and I'm going to keep in a place of being able to feel the Spirit and to draw in the moment on the message that you would have me to, that Heavenly Father wants me to give. And I'm going to do that. I'm not going to listen. So for me, I'm really visual. So I have to visualize that, or else even like right before the adversary just reams. And it feels so true. That's the thing about his lies, is they feel so true in the moment. So you've done really good. Yeah, going into speaker track is going to be fascinating for you, like to watch you and what happens in that. It's going to be really good. So I'm proud of you and how hard you've worked. And over the last 10 years, not even just how hard you've worked in the last 4 or 5 months, but you've done a good job, Tanya.
And I'll just add that that's one thing I had to say too. I love that you added that visual. And I just have to add the thing whenever I feel that with Satan coming on, because he was doing that to me at the retreat. Like I'm just sitting in the back and he's pummeling me. And I finally said, it's not about me. It's not about me. It's about the women. And I can feel that in your keynote. I can feel that that's what you are sharing. So I love that. So, and great job. Like even the women you're sharing. So good job. Kim, wins and learning. What wins and learning do you have this week? Besides like resurrecting your website. You're on mute. You're muted.
Sorry, and I completely agree, Tanya.
Oh, it muted you again.
One that has lots of education, there's so much more to life experience and working your way and navigate. I mean, that's really the ticket. And so hopefully you don't have imposter syndrome.
It keeps muting you, Kim. I don't know why.
Times in the last 3 seconds.
And Kim, I was going to add on, same with you, like with your experience, like you have that education, but you have that street cred as well, as I put in there, because of everything that you have experienced and lived and learned. And that's what I love about, and that is what connects us to our audiences, is it's not the letters behind a name that can add credibility for sure, but it's how, what you've gone through and how you connect with those women is going to be huge, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you just can't put a price. I mean, no one, it's like we're all trying to figure out how to prevent people from having to go through all the same hard things, but at the same time, we recognize that those hard things are what, our mess is our message. So
I love that. That's a good one. That's a good one. So what wins and learnings for you, Kim?
all right. So I was trying to think. I really don't have ones. I think my wins are just really trying to work a lot through. So I'm just going to be really vulnerable here since we're talking about imposter syndrome. I don't exactly know what it is, but I just have this, I don't know if it's a fear, but I don't like to, I guess the bottom line is I do not like to put myself out there. Like I do not, like I have all the education and the book learning and I have all the life experience, but like for me to actually stand in, just express myself confidently is really, really hard for me. If I'm one-on-one or like in a setting like this, or it's not, but presenting me publicly, like on social media, or like I have so much content, so many things, so many tools, but I like translating it into putting it out there. For some reason, it's just a huge block. So I've been working really hard on trying to break down the block. and that's really triggering. So I've mostly been doing a lot of emotional work on myself.
That's huge. And I'm just going to say that, first of all, great job in vocalizing that, because a lot of times that's the first step in naming it and admitting it, right? Because then it's hard, because then we're like, okay, now I've said it. And I love that, it's getting curious of like, well, why is that? Why is that happening to me? And getting curious with that thoughts. And it sounds like you've been sitting with that a little bit and going, okay, I've got all of this stuff, right? And it kind of goes back to what Diane was saying. The adversary's got you where he wants you because you've got all that information and you've got it locked up.
Yeah.
And so now it's taking one step at a time to be like, okay, I'm going to share that and confidently going, okay, again, it's not about me. And I would love for Diane to share too some steps, but basically going, okay, I call it the Enoch syndrome or the Moses syndrome. Like, who am I to share this? Right. I'm not a speaker, but
not that I'm anything close to that, but that's exactly
right. Like, who am I? Like, why are you calling me to do this? Like, I love the learning and the gathering, but can somebody else go share it? Right. Can somebody else be the face of my but
Kim, do you mind if I tell you kind of what I've noticed a little bit? Is that all right?
Oh, perfect. Yeah. I'm always the learning part.
Yeah. I've noticed this about you, that I can tell that you feel uncomfortable. And even like when like creating and some of the things you've created, I can see that almost trying to prove yourself. Do you feel like that? Like you're trying to prove prove why you're valid, prove why it is that you have what you have. And as I've noticed that, I've thought, man, it's fascinating to me, Kim, because as somebody who doesn't have a college degree, I look at you and I'm like, you have so much, and not just the educational side of it. You have been through a lot, and you kind of have this wall up, this little bit of a wall up with some of that personal stuff. I think that you probably, and maybe this is the result of school, I don't know, because I don't have the education you have. There's like the separation between what you know and opening up to what you've experienced. I think that vulnerability must still be very tender to you, because it feels like you are protecting yourself a little bit from there. And I applaud you for recognizing that, because that's really hard to recognize. And it's really hard to move past that and to be able to be brave enough to be, it takes that courage, it takes that authenticity, that vulnerability, all of the things we think we're protecting ourselves from. Like we think we're protecting ourselves from that pain and for judgment and for people to say, yeah, Kim, who are you to think that you can be in this space? You know, and so we think we're protecting ourselves from it, but it's fascinating that some of the research has shown it actually makes that pain and rejection, it gives you a higher likelihood that you're going to experience it. And it makes it worse than if you were to just be out there. So we do it as a way to think, because the way our brain thinks it's supposed to work, but it actually turns around and bites us in the butt. And so I would love to, over the next little while, as many little sessions as you would love to schedule to kind of help you with that back end of the mindset stuff of like, let's see if we can figure out, because sometimes, and you know, I'm sure you know this, Kim, like you need somebody else to show you your blind spot. Like you need someone to say, okay, did you hear what you just said? Or do you see how this is showing up? So that you can see what it is that is on the outside. You are this beautiful woman who has so much strength and so much to offer. And if we can kind of unlock some of those stories that you have going on in your head, I think that is just going to release your ability to share your message. I think it's going to just take some of that pressure off to try and show up as the Kim you think people want to see, instead of the Kim that like is in there, this like incredible, beautiful, experienced, imperfect, authentic Kim that is just really there. And I see that you have emotions. I hope that these are like breakthrough emotions and not, I'm going to unfriend Diane and send her mean message emotions.
No, it really is spot on emotions. Because Tanya and Lamira, because they were at the retreat, no, but my mom had an affair and got pregnant with me. So I just have and I've worked on it for years and years and years, but proving my worth and that I belong is like, I've been trying to do that all my life. Mm-hmm. So that's why, and it's ridiculous that I'm crying, because I've worked really, really hard through all kinds of different therapies and things to overcome it. But it just, I don't know, it just plagues me. I can't.
So Kim, what if we didn't overcome it? Like, what if we switch the mindset about that? And I'm not going to overcome it. I'm actually going to use it to empower me. So we're going to allow that, all of the things that you are feeling, we're not going to try and like use it as something that needs a hurdle that needs to be jumped over. We're actually going to just pick up the hurdle and take it with us so that you can use it to empower yourself and to connect with people.
Yeah.
I know it's a totally different It's a totally different way of kind of looking at it. But it's those vulnerabilities, it's that heartache that actually is going to make you strong, that it's actually going to make you help you connect with people.
Yeah.
And Kim, where you're a learner, I have a book. I don't know if you've ever read it, but this is what my dad used. It's called Today I Begin a New Life by Dave Blanchard. And he stepped into, have you heard The Greatest Salesman in the World, that book by Og Mandino? So Dave Blanchard actually stepped in years ago, was the CEO of the Og Mandino Group. And so I've sat at his feet. And so he wrote a book called Today I Begin a New Life. And I encourage that because it's exactly what you're talking about how he was able to take this childhood trauma and all the weight that he was carrying and how to use that to connect. Exactly what Diane's saying. I shared this book with my dad years ago, and that's how he was able to heal and continue, as Diane said. I was just going to say the exact same thing when she started talking about it's not overcoming, but it's how we take that and we put it back into ourselves and we use it. And it's so hard because we're like, oh, do I have to feel this over and over and over again? But as you feel it, you're going to use it to help you reach those women. And what you're going to see happen is you're going to see a shift happen on your website, on your social media, even in your course, everything that you're doing, because you're going to be more open and you're just going to kind of like that unlocking, like you're just going to open. It's almost like instead of, you're going to have your armor, but it's not going to be protecting, keeping it all in. Does that make sense? It's going to be more amorphous. And so I love that you opened that up and that you shared that, because it's hard. It's hard to be so vulnerable. But yeah, and being able to go, okay, I'm here at this place. It's time to share. And I love you said, it's been 40 years that you've been working on this. Like since all that information when your mom first shared, and then reading, something else you sent recently. And then you shared that information about how, I think it was in a blog post about healing with your dad.
Yeah. Yeah.
And all that healing that's been happening. And so all of that stuff, you're just going to see yourself open up in a way that your audience will go, she's a person who can help me because she gets it.
Right. It's about, so I've been working on because I think part of it's an identity thing too, like letting go of the poor Kim identity, like the protection part, like, and so it's a changing my identity that I've had
Maybe
for a long time. And
it's
I've worked
reframing it. Maybe it's reframing it.
Yeah.
And
So anyway, so that's my struggle, has been my struggle as of late, but
And all of the technology.
right.
Yeah.
But in a way,
it's a good distraction, probably.
right? I think so. I think it's been a distraction, and really, if you think about it, it's a way to stay safe.
Yes.
So your brain is like, whoa, I can focus on the technology side because there's no emotion attached to it. There's no there really isn't any identity kind of stuff attached to it. It just is. It's like a screen, it's typing, it's like, and so it's a way for you to be able to stay in a place of safety instead of a place of vulnerability. And
yeah, it's always harder to in Salt Lake. I really do think the Lord knew I needed to leave here because there's so many triggers. So I always struggle a little bit when I'm here, and then have to have a few days of kind of
oh, I'm sure. I just can't imagine, Kim.
Yeah,
Can't
it's
imagine.
a lot. And I love that Diane brought that up because it's so funny because we're on the same wavelength here. Because as I've been planning again DTLC today, that was actually something that came up in my thoughts, Kim, is you have these things that you're working on, but all these other things that you've been doing instead. Right. And we all do that. I get caught in, I call it the Asana trap for me because it's my little checklist. And I'm like, oh, those are the easy little things when really, I need to be having this conversation, or I need to be doing this thing, right? And
Sure.
that's going to move us forward and do that thing. And so going, so this is something, a mentor of mine, I hadn't seen her for several years in person, and I got to see her on Monday. And she went through one of the darkest times of my life where I lost a lot of friends overnight. It was rough. But we talked about it, and she shared something that she's had a lot of things happen in the last few years. And she said, this is what I do. She's like, she had this thought from her dad who passed away in the last couple of years. And he just kind of laughed, and he's like, this is all nonsense down there. It's all nonsense. And she goes, so what I do is when I have something come up to me, she's like, I write it down on a piece of paper and I throw it in a crumple in a ball and I toss it in my nonsense pile. Is that nonsense? And I'm like, that's such a good way to look at it with all the things that we face. I'm like, okay, even though it's hard, even though it's affecting our kids, even though it's affecting us, like, okay, but is this the big picture? Right. So anyway, I thought that was a thought. So Kim, thanks for sharing that and being vulnerable, because now we can help you. What it means is you're ready to step into that. You're ready to step in and get, okay, I've shared that. And maybe that's one reason being here, is going, okay, it's time to open that door, but learn how to use it instead of protecting yourself. Right. So anyway, love that.
Yes, I would love to get more insights, and yeah, Diane, I will schedule some more time to see if I can figure it out, because it very much feels like a plague at the moment. And speaking of distractions, the thing I haven't said is actually to soothe myself, I created an app. So it's not published yet, but I have my own little Courage to Emerge coaching app.
Wow. Are you serious?
I'm like, I love that that's your, for some people, that's like,
Wow. I eat like
stress out
chocolate
and
chips. Like you like, Kim's like, I create an app. I'm like over there like playing crossword puzzles on my phone.
I know,
Just to
I know.
But
I love it. You know what though? I mean, what a skill. Like, that's amazing. I
like,
love it.
wow. Wow.
Yeah, I love it. So thank you. And we spent a lot of time on that. And I think this is good though, because it helps all of us going. It's interesting how this theme is running today, where it's, utilizing that and being able to go, okay, this is how I'm going to help you. And now being okay with sharing that in a way that helps people see themselves in the story, right? Because when we go to StoryBrand, it's about being able to say, okay, I was here and I'm going here and now I can guide you there, right? But so that people can connect. And so that's beautiful. And going from that tech side, looking at your landing pages and your website and going, okay, how can I land in those pain points, and taking it straight from what your pain points were, because that's who you're reaching, right? These are the people, this is what they're struggling with. And Kim kind of sitting with that and going, okay, these are the pain points I'm really dealing with, and getting real, because sometimes we put those surface pain points, but what's the deep pain point, right?
Yeah.
What's that?
My son was telling me, and I don't know, I don't know where all that fits in my story, but my son and I were talking the other day, because he's going into therapy. So we have a lot of good, fun, deep discussions. But I was sharing with him kind of about PTSD and the fact that I get triggered, but it's so far and few, because I have PTSD. But we were talking about, well, was it going through all those hard years of the divorce trauma, or is it childhood? And I said, I'm pretty sure it's I feel like the divorce trauma was just like ripping the scab off a wound that had never really healed. And so it just was like the ultimate in triggering things a lot. And, but so because I do believe the root is a lot obviously from childhood, but I mean, I really haven't shared from that perspective, probably because I don't think I'm unique in that when you go through a divorce, it really does highlight or pick, it taps into some of those things that you have just never healed from in your childhood, and really, God, what's the word I'm thinking of, but tries to, just makes them brighter,
Magnifies,
magnifies
yeah.
them. And then if you don't do the work to heal while you're going through the divorce, then, it leaves people in some pretty hard spots, or just basically, they kind of close themselves off, which I think is pretty common. But
And I love that you shared that. And I would be like, those are things that you could totally share with your audience, right? Like those things that you just said, I was like, oh yeah, we're not healing that. And to me, I was like, oh, you just hit that. So, okay.
sorry.
Okay, good. All right. So looking at where we're at in course and community, and I know you've both had some things going on. So when we're at this place, and Tanya, you started looking at like that welcome piece, you do have a sales page for your thing, right? It's your homepage, but it's your sales page right now, which is great. Like that's perfect. And you have your outline. Kim, where are you on your outline and breaking up? Have you done that?
Yeah, I was just looking at it. I've broken it all out. I'm going to send it to you. I'll work on it
Perfect.
for a few minutes right after this. But and I'm just going to send you my PDF of my handwritten notes and good notes.
Just send it, and I will. I've been a school teacher in my past life. I can read handwriting.
Yeah, you'll need that. So anyway, so I just need to, what I haven't done is, like, I have the outline, but I haven't created the creative name for the course.
Okay.
So, as you're going through, like, it'll tell you, this is how I'm going to break it out.
Mhm.
I'm a little uncomfortable that it equates to 12 different things, because like I said, this is crazy to have procrastination be 12 different, you know what I mean, like that
Yeah.
many modules. But I don't know, maybe.
But if we look at it and see, we might be able to see how that fits.
Yeah, maybe I was going to say, maybe I need to reframe it, like, because it is all about procrastination and that's what I talk about, but maybe it's more about tapping into the things that that make us stuck.
Mhm.
And so as I listen, maybe I don't know, maybe that'll make it resonate a little bit more, because
Like more like getting unstuck, like helping us through.
yeah, because the because it is a lot of material and I worry about sending a message of, here, take all these 12 modules and that'll help you procrastinate what you're
Well, the
trying
one thing
to
is, if you,
add a little bit
it's
more.
also the way you frame it, Kim, because if it's today, we're going to work on one step, right? Because if you give them like this whole thing and say, okay, sit for an hour, like a procrastinator, they're going to put it off and put it off and put it off. But if you break it down, you're like, well, you give them a reason they can't procrastinate it because it's only 10 minutes, right? Do you know what I mean? And so 20 minutes and
That's
kind of
a really good point. I broke it up
reframing it
into
that way.
5 chunks to help you with the procrastination.
And one thing that we talk about in a course, and Diane and I have been talking about this so much on the DTLC side of things, but one thing that is super going to help your people go through this, and this is why we had you do that welcome email first, is then as you're going to drip it out to them and hold their hand the whole way through an automated email, if that makes sense. So that way you're going to do all this legwork ahead of time, but the whole idea is that, okay, you're just going to do this one piece today. Boom. And what did you do? And what is a procrastinator like? They want a reward at the end, right? Like, yay, that was fun. And then great job, you did it.
Yeah, because it's
there
all
are ways
getting dopamine hits all along the way.
Yeah. And so that's why breaking it out smaller and helping them see their small wins along the way. And the win for a lot of them is you did it. You looked at this piece, you did this thing. And so going, just even reframing the story in your head that you're telling yourself about this course and reframing it, because then that can be projected on your audience, but to go, okay, no, I'm going to make this easy for you because procrastinators, we are the worst at this. So I'm going to really break this down for you to help you feel like you can just do it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I like that. So
Because yeah, when you see it, you're seeing the whole picture, but you're just giving them one little bite at a time. And if they decide to go faster, there's ways you can set it up that as they finish, they can get the next one and the next one. But basically, you're going to hold their hand through it and be like, I know this works. You know this works because, you know it does. So you're going to just help them see how it does and give them a bit by bit. Because if you overwhelm them, for me, that's as a procrastinator, I just won't do it. Because I'm like, oh, it's too much. It's too much to chew off of. But for you, it's hard because you're like, no, you need all of this. You need all of this. But it's always okay, like I said, to pare down. Always okay. And less is more. It doesn't feel that, but it really is. It's more powerful. So just some thoughts to think about there. Reframing that. And as I look at it, I can help too, because there might be things, we can pair this, we can do this. We do that a lot. That's what I do a lot with Connie. Like she'll help me pare down and I pare down. Does that make sense? So yeah. So if you can get me your outline, that would be awesome. I would love to be able to see that. And then do each of you have, like Tanya, you've picked a launch date. What's your launch date? You're muted. You're still muted.
Oh, sorry. The first Monday in June.
Okay. Love that.
You need to go though. It's like 11:44.
Yeah, I'm just getting your launch dates. Okay. Kim, what's your launch? Have you picked a launch date of when you want to have this?
Actually, I think that's really good. I'm leaving, I go to Denmark in June. So like from the 6th to the 26th, I'm super busy. But if I can get it all set up so that it's working for me while I'm gone, that would be amazing.
Yeah. So some things you want is to have an idea of how you can, if we get it outlined, right, ready, and then you're going to want to be able to market it. And we get marketing set up on the background, even if it's scheduling outposts and getting an email system going.
That's pretty aggressive, but the semester's over. So I have, 2 days of free time that I haven't had before. So, I'll say June 1st. Let's see. I don't have a calendar in front of me. I leave for Salt Lake again on, I think at the 6th, June 6th. So maybe, that whatever that Monday is closest to June 6th. Do you guys have a calendar?
Let's see. June 9th, I think is this.
June 5th is the Monday.
Oh, June 5th. Okay, so I'll say June 5th.
Okay. And so, it's kind of give that soft, and then that way we'll see, okay, well, here are the steps we need to take. So if you get that outline to me, and then we can get, and you and I are meeting today about your website and that landing page, because once we can get that going, even if we get the landing page itself, focus on that piece of your website, and that's what we give people, that's fine. That's kind of what Tanya did, is focused on that piece. And then we can go back to the other pieces. Don't let those other pieces distract you. We want to come back to those and clean those up. Yes. But let's focus on this landing page for your course, because that's the one thing we want you to feel like, yes, I got that. Does that make sense? And as you work on that, you're going to see how that will help translate to your homepage. And I think Tanya can attest to that, because as she worked on it for her opt-in and then did it here, it kind of flowed, right? It starts to flow. So anyway, okay. I love that.
That'll be good.
Okay. So what's the number one thing you're working on this week?
So I'm going to complete my welcome email, and I'll send that to you. And then start connecting with people and getting batching out some social media. And I have my sales pages up, it's ready to go. For right now, it'll work the way that it is. What other things do I need to be doing to get ready for starting the group?
So making sure you've got your plan ready for, I would say if you have I would say for you, Tanya, I would start looking at the 5-day challenge.
Okay.
Module. And let's start there, because then we can launch, that can be another marketing piece to go with that. And you can use the opt-in that you have, like your freebie, and walk them through that. That's what we do a lot with, so don't reinvent something, use what you have. And I would say start working on that and going through the 5-day challenge module.
Okay.
Because we'll start marketing, because then I think Diane had mentioned to me that you want the little script of how to reach out to people.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you, the first thing is just start, just like you have been reaching out to people. Like if you're messaging people just organically, how are you doing? How are things going? That kind of thing, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, however you do it, or text, so that you will show up in their feed, but also to really see where people are at. Does that make sense? So that way you're building relationships and connections organically right now. And then
I do that quite a bit already, but I want it not as much as
yeah. And then that way, and then we can go, okay, I'll send you that script. If I don't, will you just text me like after your keynote, and then I will get that to you. Okay, awesome. Okay, Kim, what's the number one thing you're working on?
Well, I'm excited about going to the women's conference. So I just want to get spiritually fed for a few days.
Yes.
And then I have family time. So really, as far as the week goes, if it's Wednesday to Wednesday that we're doing a week.
Yeah, well, just for this.
Yeah. So Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, I'll be working really close with Shauna. We're just going to kind of work with each other, but to help her solidify some of her stuff. And I know Diane, she's met with you and has got some good things that she's trying to focus on or work on. And then so we're just going to kind of work together. But as far as the course goes,
you're going to send me your outline, right?
I'll send you the outline, and then
and we're going to meet with your website today. So those might be some things, maybe after that you'll have some.
Yeah, I'll have better, I can maybe respond to some of the feedback that I get on those. So I'll and then we'll go from there.
I mean, that sounds good, because then as you're going to women's conference, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's kind of a lot to try to squeeze in a little bit more, because when I'm here, I do try to connect with people that I haven't seen for a while, and
that's actually perfect. Connecting is part of this thing too. So connecting and building that. And I would encourage you to be intentional about how you connect, and to say, oh yeah, if people ask what you're doing, be your bold self and share your message, and just
I have to have one of those first.
Yeah, but you do, and you just say, if people say, oh, what are you up to? You say, oh, I'm teaching, and I'm also creating this course about helping people to be able to get unstuck in their. Does that make sense? So just start practicing saying that, so when people ask, and then that way you're not selling it to them, but it's organically, because like, oh, what are you up to, Kim? Oh, I'm doing this thing. Like, don't be afraid to share that. So
yeah,
that's anyway.
a good plan.
Okay, I love that. And then I'm going to post in detail, see who's going to women's conference, because there's several of us that are going to be there. But anyway.
Yeah, Shauna and I are leaving today. We're going to stay in Provo, because I have to go to that singing thing at 6:30 in the morning. So I'm like, I don't want to drive all the way. I don't want to be up that early. So we're going to stay overnight in Provo and then come home tomorrow. But
awesome.
So I'm looking forward to it. I've never been, so I'm pretty excited about it.
Oh, that'll be fun. Well, great job, ladies. And I have time. Don't worry. I'm just going around the block. So I'm not far, but because we're in Utah, right? Utah, everything's like around the block. I'm not like where I have to drive 10, 15 minutes, but I love you. Thank you for sharing those with me. And you have your next steps, and that's kind of where we're going to start from there. And if Tanya, you get to the point you're like, okay, I'm ready to move forward, like we'll talk about, okay, let's move you and let's get you going out there. So, okay. All right. See you, ladies.
Bye.